So I remember the time when I was doing a Dragon's Dogma stream, and someone came to the stream very passionately and told me something on the lines of,
Actually, you shouldn't play Dragon's Dogma 2. That game is very, very bad. And playing it is a crime.
and I was like, alright. And then I actually played it. That guy is going crazy with it. That sounds like a crit. What the f- Get the f out from there! There you go. Ah! Brother, this is objectively one of the coolest things I've ever played in my life. Hello folks, Gappy here, and today I'm talking about what might just be one of my favorite games of all time. And it's crazy because I actually just finished playing it. It's called Dragon's Dogma 2, in case, the whole thing didn't show off. Before I got into this game, I got presented with some controversial opinions saying that the game is not great, the game was awful, and since I was in a bit of a Dragon's Dogma phase, I decided to, play it anyway. Because no better judge of a game's quality than, yourself. And I kind of just want to talk about it because I really don't understand it. I really don't. Back when the game came out, there were a lot of complaints about the game's performance, which is, average Capcom business, let us just say, being a big Monster Hunter Wilds player. I can kind of see a pattern here. But from my understanding, most of these issues are all patched by now. The game ran smoothly for me. I don't think I had a single hiccup in the video game from start to finish, and we did like 80 hours until we actually beat the true ending. And if the problem was the performance, I don't think that applies right now. But before we proceed talking about possible points of discussion, I kind of want to introduce the game because I do feel like it's an important point, especially for people that don't know. When you see it from the outside, it's really easy to think that this game is your average RPG, Souls-like experience, like a Witcher 3 sort of thing, because you just see the base gameplay, you just assume like, oh yeah, that's just one of those games, right? And it's not. It's not one of those games at all. Considering I was one of those people that just heard the bad opinions and stayed away from the game for a bit of a year, I think it's a good idea to introduce the whole thing for people that don't know. The world of Dragon's Dogma works in a way where there is always going to be a dragon and someone to fight the dragon, which is coincidentally chosen by the dragon as well. It's very confusing at first, don't. Yeah, in this game you start as a regular person whose village gets attacked by the dragon itself. And through a valiant display of bravery, the dragon chooses you as his chosen opponent, or as the game likes to call you, the Arisen. It's a very painful interview process, I do have to say. No hablo. Ow. Don't need that. Man, I kinda need that. And due to the laws of this world, you being the Arisen grants you the right to be the king, and there are people in power that don't want you to be the king because they kinda want to be the king themselves. So they just erase your memory and toss you in a unpaid labor pit. And I still maintain that choosing your leader via someone that got stabbed by a dragon does not feel like the best democratic system, I do have to say. But hey, whatever floats your boat, I guess. Now, the story of the game is all fine and dandy. I do like it, but it's by far not the most important point in here. And I feel like as a player that is starting right now, if you just rush main quests and don't do what the game proposes, I feel like you're gonna be left pretty disappointed by the end of it. The way the game works is that it tries to simulate a fully living world at all times, so regardless of whatever you're doing, the world keeps going on. People are gonna keep living, monsters are gonna be roaming about, attacking people, And it is pretty common occurrence in this game for people to just die. Every NPC in this world is unique, aside from the ones that are counted as mobs, like bandits. It is a full-on simulation of real life. And as goofy as it is, and as goofy as it sounds, I love it. This system ends up generating some of the most funny interactions I've ever seen in any video game ever. Like, for example, one of the things that happened to me in my playthrough was that I was doing some exploration. I found this one random guy that wanted me to protect him while he was supposed to get into a cenotaph to light up a torch. And at the moment, it just felt like the most random thing ever. It's just like, oh yeah, it's a random side quest, just this regular dude asking me to light a lamp or some such. He ended up dying due to poison because of the harpies in the place, and I just kind of ignored it because it's like, oh yeah, the dude just wanted to light up a torch, right? That's nothing too bad. But later into the game, I discovered that that dude and his quests were completely necessary to end up getting one of the strongest spells for sorcerer in the game. And I ended up having to run an entire side quest to revive that dude and then take him to the cenotaph so that he could light up the torch and I could get the spell. It's those little things that end up snowballing into absurd side quests that you would only see in a D&D campaign, and I have never in my life seen a game do something like this. And talking about the base gameplay system, I think the pawn system is phenomenal. The game works in a way where the Arisen is able to command pawns, which are essentially player-created NPCs. They act like your party members. So you have one that you create and two other spaces for characters created by other people or even by Capcom themselves. The way this game works when assembling a party is pristine to me, because I don't think there was a single moment in this game before like the very, very late game where I was like, I am him. There are moments in this game where you're fighting an enemy, the enemy is going to grab you, and there's literally nothing you can do about it. You have to call for help. You have to rely on your party members. Ah! Holy fucking shit! I just got like super drop kicks. God damn! When you are creating your party, it's assumed that you have to cover a lot of weaknesses because every class in this game has a blatant weakness. Spellcasters do a lot of damage or a lot of support depending on which caster class you pick, but they have 0 to no melee skills. If they get jumped by someone, you just have to pray. And same thing for melee guys, like warriors for example, they have a ton of defense and a lot of damage when it comes to big ass two-handed weapons, but when you're fighting an enemy that's flying all the way over there, like you just kind of have to wait until the enemy comes down. It is a bit of a situation, and I love that. The fact that you have latent weaknesses that you have to think around instead of just going like, oh, I'm just gonna press buttons and win the game, right? And it actually fits the narrative of the game pretty well. You're not some god's favorite warrior that is just the best in the realms chosen to defeat the dragon. You're just like a regular dude that the dragon found mildly entertaining and decided to like, okay, you're immortal now, do what you can, and you better rise up to the occasion because otherwise you are cooked. And it even reflects a lot in the game because sometimes you're fighting these gigantic enemies like Cyclopses. How do you plural that? Cyclops, dragons, that kind of stuff, and generally the weak spot is way up high, like his head or something. And you're a warrior, so you just have to kind of slowly climb up into the monster's head to do some actual damage, because if you just keep hitting the monster's legs, there's probably not going to be a lot of damage. Sometimes you do manage to knock the monster down if you hit him in the legs, but that's like very specific, and you should always try to climb the monster if you can, unless you play Archer. If you play Archer, just keep on shooting the weak spot. The combat in this game really feels like it pays off to be creative. You can find different ways to overcome your own weaknesses, grabbing on the monsters or even tossing out rocks. It actually quite works a good bit. The story is fine, don't get me wrong. The lore is surprisingly really interesting, but I feel like it's secondary to gameplay. And it complements the gameplay pretty well. And to that, we get into our next point of conversation, which is the pawn system. I love the pawn system. The way pawns work is that you have a limited set of classes that you can pick for your pawns. There are classes that are limited to the player only because they're kind of really unique. I think that's the way to describe it. I don't want to get into much detail because I really, really want you guys to try this game out. It is a phenomenal experience. But pawns work in a constantly learning way, where if you make your pawn play a certain class, and you play the same class as your pawn, the pawn is going to try to replicate what you're doing. That really creates some potential for insane shenanigans, or just very optimal plays, I guess. If you want your pawns to do a certain support routine, you can just do that yourself, and then the pawn is just going to try to replicate it as best as he can. And it's honestly really, really interesting. Not only that, but the pawn is also your way of connecting with the world, if that makes sense. You don't speak in this game. Your character doesn't have an actual voice, so the pawn is the one that's going to be doing most of the talking for you. One of the ways I can describe it is that I made my pawn understand the language of the elves. So me, naturally, I couldn't speak to elves, but since my pawn was a live translator, he could actually just tell me what they're saying. So you kind of have to combo that with the skills of all the pawns from other players, and it's just phenomenal. And it adds up to a point where you also have a very, very interesting mechanic, in my opinion, which is a bit controversial because I've seen a lot of people not liking it. I personally think it's amazing, which is called Drake Blight. In the game, you have these dragon-like enemies that are not really dragons because there can only be one dragon at a time. They're called drakes. And these drakes, they have an attack, which is a big command grab. If it hits the player, nothing happens. It just picks you up and then tosses you around like a potato bag. But if he gets one of your pawns, he's gonna infect them with the Drake virus. And at first it doesn't change anything. It takes a while for it to kick in. After that, the pawns are gonna start being a bit rowdy. They are gonna start challenging your commands, and after a while they are quite literally just gonna start killing everybody in your world. Like you're just gonna start noticing people dying. So it's one of the things you have to kind of pay attention to. And I understand people being mad at it because there are some NPCs in this game that are really, really, really important if you want to do some quests. Like I said about the dude in the cenotaph who had the magic book that allowed me to do the strongest spell in the game. There's a few NPCs here that are really, really important and you shouldn't let them die. But even if you do let them die, there are ways to bring them back. And I think that's super interesting, the fact that every little thing has meaning. Everything in this game feels so meaningful and deliberate, and I love it. It's very refreshing to see a game where mechanics and the world connect to each other in meaningful ways. I cannot express how much I love this game. And I do have to say though, this game has what might be one of the best endgame loops I have ever seen in a video game. I really want to go into detail about the endgame of Dragon's Dogma 2, but I can't. Not here, because this is a video where I'm trying to make you guys play the video game. And the ending of Dragon's Dogma 2 is probably one of the most interesting endings in the video game. The concept is not entirely new, but it's such an interesting take on it, and the way it works and the way everything comes together, and it's harrowing, it's melancholic, it's hopeful, it just melts together in this absolute masterpiece of a video game. Like, this game is a bit cryptic, I do have to say. It doesn't tell you what to do. It doesn't tell you what you should be doing when it comes to like dealing with the world, and I think that's the beauty of it. It kind of just tosses you out there. He gives you a general objective to like, oh yeah, you're the Arisen guy, you need to get your throne back, go do that, and off you go. Just do whatever you want. And I do appreciate it, I really do. It's refreshing, I think that's the way to put it. If you ever see this game on a sale, you want to try it out, I thoroughly recommend it. It's probably one of my top 10 favorite games of all time now. And yeah, just go play Dragon's Dogma 2. It's phenomenal. Yeah, that's probably gonna be it for today's video. if you guys liked it, please consider liking and subscribing. Really, really helps the channel a good bit. We do have a Ko-fi, by the way, if you guys want to support the channel in more monetary means, but not necessary at all. And just you guys watching it, I'm extremely thankful. Thank you all so much for being here, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye. Ciao.